You are welcome back. My name is Wale Adewumi. In the earlier video, I talked about earning income and also have something working that you can put part of the money. I want to explain the concept of compound interest and illustrating it once again with the story of the Fulani young man, Danladi. Initially it was very few cows. These cows begin to multiply in their numbers. So what we have there is what we can call compounding. It is growing in number. Do you know the funniest part is money also grows in the same way when you put it into an investment. Now sometimes I don't like using the word investment because you look at it as if it is the big shots that only do investment. If you buy produce, put it somewhere and sell when it is scarce, we are also investing. There's no big English there. Is there any big English? So that the same thing happens when you put your money in stock. Every year the business makes profit. They also give you a share. But the beautiful part of compound interest is when the little dividend that comes out of it or bonus, you inject it back. That means you have bigger capital. The interest in the following year will be bigger. Then you do it over years, year in, year out. At the end of the day, that little sum becomes very humongous and it becomes sizable. And you will have wondered that little money that you started with has become so big. The same thing we said was done for Danladi when he was younger. Certain cows were set aside. After 15 years, they have multiplied. His father handed it over to him. That's the same thing we are explaining. What fund managers do. The government give them a lump sum on your behalf when you retire. You may not know. Or through the contributive pension, after contributing amount, they give it to them. Every year it comes with certain interest. The interest is what they pay to you year in, year out throughout your lifetime. That's why even if you spend 150 years, that capital given to the fund manager will always be there to pay you certain amount through the law of interest. But the compounding aspect is the initial fund you put in a place that multiply without touching it. Now I want to explain how compound interest becomes your option towards financial freedom. And I'm going to use 100,000 as a case study. If you take 100,000 and put it in a business that gives 10% annually, in the next 20 years, 30 years, it's going to be different from the one that is 20% interest annually. And you keep compounding it with the interest every year. And the one for 30% is different. And what happens after many years, you will realize, let me give an example. After 30 years, a compound interest on 100,000 will turn that money. You can use compound interest calculator. We give you about 1.7 million naira after 30 years. Without adding a dime to the 100,000. Just make sure that every year that money is increasing by 10%. If you now have 20% increase every year on 100,000, you can guess how much it becomes. It becomes 23 million in 30 years. This is why it's always better to start your investment journey very early in life. And let's look at 30%. That one goes to as much as 200 million. Every year it is increasing by 30%, which means by next year it becomes 130,000. then the following year is going to close to 300,000. The same money running. Now, the game to you is this: is there any business I can put my money into that will give me 20% or 30% annually? And this money, when it can increase next year, you are not removing the profit you go and use to buy asoebi. You bring the money together again, put in that same business. This is why you realize that those who become very wealthy after many years don't earn the largest income. You know, I told you a story earlier about a driver who built a house before his boss, because he understands the law of investment than his boss. So, which also now means that anybody can become financially free. Like I said earlier of my grandfather, he became financially free without having to recourse to go back to his children for any support or aid. I think that would be very good. And when my grandfather died, the children had some plantation to share among themselves. You too, check your life. How could compound interest work for you? It worked for the Fulani man. It worked for my grandpa. You know, I'm not even using those people in Wall Street or in the large conglomerate. I'm using simple explanation so that this program can benefit you. Thank you for taking your time out. My name is Wale Adewumi. As you learn, lead other people to also participate. Then we all earn income. I'm earning, you too earn, being on this platform. We together, we are game changers. God bless you.